Welcome to a day in my life. Alarm goes off around 6:30 and I'll usually weigh in first and make my way downstairs for a cup of tea. There's no better way to start a day than with a cuppa, right? I'll also make my protein shake because I'll take that into my first work block with me to start drinking that. I'm now having 10 grams of creatine. I have 50 grams of protein. I am going to run a full video explaining all of the supplements and why I take them. And the reason I'm going to do that is that I started doing it in this, but it makes this video super long, and I want to give you guys the science. Yes, I have sugar in my tea before any of you say it. There is nothing wrong with having sugar in your tea. If you have like 3 sugars, yeah, I see that's a problem, but 1 sugar I don't. Love the ritual of having a cup of tea in the morning. And tea also contains L-theanine, which is an anxiolytic, which means that it helps to prevent anxiety. I then take my medication in the morning, as you can see, and I start to look at what I got done yesterday and what I have to get done today, and then just move my tasks around to make sure anything that I need to get done is prioritized. Then I'm into my client messages, form feedback, and of course, anything that was super important that I needed to hear back from yesterday so I can get on with that. So that might be a client program, that might be someone's nutrition that I just needed some feedback on before we could get stuck in. I try my absolute best to not go on my phone for the first kind of hour. And I do that mostly because nothing usually good is happening on my phone, right? It's usually some shit news or something or other that draws me into Instagram, and it uses up that first burst of energy that I have for the day. So what I try my best to do, and when I say I try, sometimes I do, right? Sometimes I get distracted and I just have to snap out of it as best I can. What I'll try my best to do is leave my phone till around now. So what is it, 9:35, I'll post something to my story, I'll reply to some messages on Instagram, that kind of stuff. But I try always to get in and do the most important thing for me that day, which is always going to be my client messages. So as you'll have seen this morning already, I've done all my client messages, I've done all my client form feedback. This morning, I think I went through roughly 103. I got up to 90 and then I did 2 more people. So I think it was about 103 or 104 form videos in total this morning, and I'll have replied to all my messages. For me, the messaging thing is not about, oh, can I just get a reply? It's how can I help this person the absolute most today and answer any questions that they might want to come back to me with. One thing I find with a lot of people who coach with me is A, they're always fascinated by how many questions I ask, and 2, or B, the amount of detail I go into with my answers, because there's nothing more annoying than when you ask somebody a question and then you have to ask them another question because they didn't answer the first one right, or didn't give you enough information, you know. So what I tried to do is I tried to think to myself, what more will they want to know about this? And how can I get that to them? So I spend probably 2 hours or more replying to messages a day. For me, it's about conscientiously replying in a way that offers them solutions to the question. But solutions and answers are 2 things which I think are often grey areaed, but aren't, in the way that I could give you an answer to a question, but it does not give you the solution. The answer is telling you that I know the solution. Does that kind of make sense? What I want to do is give you the solution. I want you to understand why we are doing this in this situation that allows for this outcome to occur, or that maybe in a different situation we would handle this slightly differently, and that's okay, but the reason we do that is because of this. To me, that's really important. To me, that's coaching. That is why sometimes I will take 24 hours to reply to a message, especially if it's a very long one, because it's about the journey. It's not about, can I get this job done as quick as possible so I can fuck off to the beach? Not making any digs at anyone specific there, by the way. You know, I take this very seriously, and I get great results as a result. But more than that, I help people live a great life. And I think that's probably one of the greatest things that our coaching offers. It's one thing to help people get into a body they love. It's another thing doing that alongside a life they love, and alongside something which they have a much greater understanding of themselves, a much greater understanding of the world around them, and I think a much higher level of compassion to the things we could do better, the things we do really well, and generally the enjoyment that comes with that. I'm gonna go make a coffee now because it's 9:30 and it's time for a coffee. Come join me, let's make a coffee, and we'll talk a bit about some supplements while we're there as well. There are two reasons why I push my coffee back to 9:30 each day. One is dopamine and the other one is cortisol. When we wake up, our body spikes cortisol. And the reason it does that is because it makes us feel more alert, it makes us feel more awake, and it helps us every day to go through that awakening process that we need. If we then decide to artificially stimulate ourselves through caffeine or energy drinks, we end up blunting the process the body's already going through. It's exactly the same with dopamine. We want to allow the body to regulate itself. For those of you with beady eyes, you'll have seen that I drink lactose-free milk. The only reason I drink lactose-free milk is because I am lactose intolerant. Lactose intolerance is a scale. It's not you either can digest lactose or you can't. We can all digest typically a certain amount of lactose. If I were to have, say, a coffee with just normal milk, I would be absolutely fine, but then it would be difficult for the rest of the day to digest much else. So basically we have lactose, and the enzyme that digests that is lactase. I obviously don't have enough of that to digest a lot of lactose, but if you do, then you have absolutely no reason to start drinking this kind of stuff or minimizing the amount you have in your diet, because when you do that, you will down-regulate the amount of lactase your body creates, and then you will create yourself a problem, which of course you do not want. Two things you beady eyes people might also have noticed is I didn't weigh out the milk. And that's because in here, there are levels. Now, one thing you'll notice about me, and it's probably true about you if you watch a lot of my content and you kind of resonate with any of the things that I say, the amount of decisions I have to make in a day, if I can minimize them, it makes my life so much better and so much easier. And committing to fat loss so much easier as well. So I don't weigh out my milk for my coffee. I don't weigh out my milk for my tea. I don't weigh out the sugar for my tea, right? Basically what I did is I weighed out the milk 5 days. I weighed out the sugar I used 5 days. I've always had a sugar in my tea. What I then did was I averaged that out for the week, made it into a meal. So I just now put it in my Fitness Pals cup of tea and I track it like that. Now, the same thing goes with my coffee. I have the same coffee every single day. I don't need to weigh out the milk because I'm not getting a bigger mug. I'm also not, the line on this isn't moving up each week. Do you know what I mean? So the chances of me exponentially eating more each week is next to zero. And for me, that saves brain space for the business I have to run, the people I want to talk to and help, but also the goals that I have set. If I spend ages each day doing things that are just not adding to the goal, they're not adding any value, what's the point? There is none. So I always tend to minimize the amount that I have to do to maximize my outputs where I need them the most. Once I've had my coffee in the morning, I will then pack up, put everything away. Sometimes I forget, genuinely, I get distracted by something and I'll end up walking upstairs and having packed literally nothing away, not cleaned the coffee machine or anything like that, but that's the world we live in sometimes. Now we are both awake, so I tend to wake up a lot earlier than Katie. We both work from home. I don't like to, do voice notes and things like that in the mornings where typically Katie's going to be asleep, so that's kind of unfair. But equally, I have no interest whatsoever in coming down here at 6 o'clock in the morning doing the fucking dishwasher. Let me tell you, it is like the last thing on my list of priorities because I want to get stuck in. I know I've woken up for a reason, and that reason wasn't to come down here and do the dishwasher. So I will always do my work first. I'll always get stuck into my work first. Once I've done that work, I find it so much easier to get into tasks that need doing, right? So I'll do the dishes, hence why I'm doing them now. I will help Katie with some other bits. I'd say we have a pretty even distribution of things we do around the house. We have our certain jobs, right? So I'd say we both do the dishwasher quite evenly. I tend to do all the cooking. Katie tends to do a lot of like the more admin-y jobs, and she also does the shopping. So we order our shopping in, and I'll talk a bit about this later, but I don't understand why in this day and age when people work from home, why they still need to take 2 hours out of their day to go and do a shop. I just don't get it. Pretty much everybody, if you think about your like weekly groceries, and I'm talking about people watching this, right? I'm not talking about everyone in the world, but if you're watching this YouTube video, there's a strong chance your weekly shop comes to more than 40 quid, which means there's a strong chance that you can get your delivery for free, if not cost like 2 quid or something. And if you work from home, why would you not do that? Why would you not spend 15 minutes taking a delivery into the house, putting it away, rather than 2 hours? There are so many benefits to getting your shopping delivered as well, because you don't end up buying a load of shit you don't want, getting distracted by all the nice offers that are on. So it saves you money, it saves you time, and also it probably saves your goals because you don't end up buying things that you see. You literally have a list of things. And I know that when we do the shop, for example, Katie has a button that's like repeat last week's. So in that regard, it's just a no-brainer. So time now is just about 20 to 10, and I'm going to dive into my second work block of the day. This one's going to take me through till 12:30, and in this block I typically do all the things that I need to do that are deep concentration stuff. So the reason I don't do that first thing in the morning is that often a lot of the conversations I have with clients are a bit more challenging. There are problems that need to be solved, and I can use that time and that brain power I have early morning to really put myself to that. I find then in the mid-morning, I can sometimes struggle with my most distractions, and I don't really want to have that while I'm trying to go in and out of client work. I'd much rather put a deep task on where I'm less likely to have that struggle. So this is where I'll put my music in, I'll do my programming, I will do my content for things. One thing that I will mention though, on the distraction point, is that I wear these. They're basically like AirPods, except for there's no music that comes out of them. The aim is that basically you'll see my office is dark, I close the blinds, I have a light, and then I wear these. I get really easily distracted, and it's something that I've come to become very much okay with. So, you know what, it's lovely to look out the window, and I do have my window open early morning to get that early morning sun. But after that, I tend to close it because I just get too distracted. I don't need the distraction. So I close my window, I put my AirPods in, and I can concentrate much better. So it's a really helpful thing for me. It doesn't seem very normal. It doesn't probably seem like a good idea to many people, but to me it is, and I can get so much more done. So that's why I do it. The time now is 12:30 and it is time for lunch. So basically I don't have any food in the mornings, as you'll have seen. I have my protein shake, my coffee and my cup of tea. And then I have my breakfast, lunch, whatever you want to call it, meal one I have at 12:30. I train at 1 o'clock. So this meal is going to contain the majority of the carbohydrate that I have in the day. I would say that between my post and pre-workout foods, I probably use up 70 to 80% of the carbohydrate I have in the day, because when I'm in a mini cut, I mini cut aggressively, which means I don't have a huge amount of carbohydrate. The majority of my macros actually are proteins. And so from my perspective, the thing I want most of is energy to train and then energy to recover from training. So I'm gonna have oats. I have oats pretty much every day. I digest them really well. I digest them quickly and I feel good when I go to train. 40 grams of oats, and then we are going to cook this majority with water, and then I put milk in to make it nice and creamy at the end. That's a little touch for you. Splash this with water. I mean, it's not a fucking cooking program, is it? It doesn't really matter how I'm doing it. And then I'll cook this, and then we'll go and train. I don't class this as intermittent fasting. Like if somebody asked me what mode of eating do I do, I would just say I push my breakfast back. I think intermittent fasting or anything like that kind of pigeonholes you into doing that all the time. I'll regularly have breakfast on the weekend if we're out for friends with coffee and things. I will be flexible with that, and I don't have the whole like must finish eating at 8 o'clock kind of thing. I don't see it as a cult. I don't see it as like a Nutra cult, if you like. I see it as something where if I can condense my 3 to 4 meals per day into a set space of time, that makes me feel more full, helps me feel satiated, and manages my macros around the training times in a more efficient way, why would I not do that? I have no reason why I need to start eating at 7 o'clock in the morning when I wake up. It's just a longer time to be hungry, a longer time to open that eating window, and more time in which I have to fill the gaps. I don't want to do that. So coffee, tea in the morning, lovely jubbly. I'll have my oats now, my pre-workout, and it'll be time to go and train. Now the really good thing about this is that the frozen berries melt and the golden syrup melts, and it creates like a raspberry jam on the top. It's so fucking good. So anyway, I'm gonna eat this in some peace and quiet. I tend to just go and sit over on my desk, so I'm gonna go and do that. Stare out the window, try and relax as much as possible. Don't try to, 99% of the time at the moment, I'll eat this with the best intentions, literally just looking out the window, because else I'll end up watching YouTube, going on my phone, doing more work, and it's not a very good way to actually enjoy food. One, because when you're hungry, you want to enjoy it more. It's more satiating to do so, but also it's better for your digestive system to try and eat food in a relaxed state rather than a really stimulated one. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now, and I'm going to go and enjoy it. So peace out.
Drinking, what's your vibe? Drinking,
to the gym to train legs. I love training legs. Legs is a great day for me. I really do enjoy it. For me, it's one of those days which it depends on how you're feeling and all that good stuff, but generally it's a day where I get halfway through the set, or I'm 2-3 reps from RIR, and my brain's like, that's enough. And I just love the feeling of overcoming that. I love the feeling of being like, no, we're going. I've set myself a target, we're gonna get there. And I think it can be quite sadistic sometimes, that feeling that you get, but I really do enjoy it. I love the feeling when my brain's kicking back and I'm like, nah, we've got this. It's just a nice feeling, and I feel like it's a really good thing to have in the locker, because life is shit and life does get hard. So, hey, if you can make a gym session much easier by pushing through those harder reps and things like that, it's just a bit of practice, isn't it? It's a bit of practice in resilience and overcoming these situations. I do think it helps, genuinely. Another thing, I don't really listen to music anymore in the car. So, and I won't be listening to music at all today because I left my headphones at home, which is actually a real pisser, to be honest, and I might actually drive home and get them. The reason is that I've got quite an intense job in terms of like client calls and the things that we talk about. I love it, wouldn't change it for the world, but then I go from one thing to more versions of stimulation. So I go from that to listening to music all the time. And I've realized about 3-4 months ago, when I looked at my day, there's almost no time at all throughout the day where I don't do anything, where I'm not faced with a screen, where I'm not faced with music, where I'm actually just quiet. So one of my New Year's resolutions this year was to take 2 45-minute unplugged walks per week. The aim of that was simply to go on a walk in nature without calling somebody, without having music in my ears or a podcast or anything like that. The sole purpose was to have some time to myself, some time to process, some time to enjoy that time. And it's been revolutionary for me. The first few I really struggled with. I really struggled with the first few that I did because I got such a loud brain and all the thoughts and all the things I was kept thinking of. But then something really changed, and that something for me was that those noises really started to settle. They started to settle and I started to get some good ideas. I started to feel a bit recovered from it. And so that got me thinking that actually, if I'm going from my office to the gym in a mode of transport I just adore, why give more stimulation? Why not just learn to be present and quiet, enjoy the moment? So I stopped listening to music in the car. And I love music. I absolutely love music. There's not much music I wouldn't listen to. There's not many people's cars I could get into and not find 50 out of their 60 songs that I'd probably like. And so it seems strange that I would do that, but to me, it's been a real head clearer. And I know that my time in the gym, my time to the gym is my time, and it's my time to think. So when people ring me now when I'm in the car, I don't tend to answer, because I know that that's 10 minutes in my day that's me time. And in a world where there's so much pressure to reply to people, to answer the phone, there's just so much vying for your attention, whether that's people ringing you, calling you, texting you, whatever it is, that I find that if I can just create blocks in my day where I don't stand for that, where I don't have that, and I just block myself out from the world, it really recuperates me. I find it really builds my energy back up, and I have these little sanctums of time and space in the day that I know they're mine. I know they're mine, I enjoy them, and to be honest, I wouldn't trade them for anything. And that is why I don't answer the phone. Now, I've got hands-free, I'm not talking about picking up the fucking thing, but that's why I don't answer, because I want this time to remain my time. And I would really encourage you guys listening to this, especially if you are ADHDers or neurodivergent in any way, to remember to protect your time, protect your energy. I mean it in a way of like, you spend a lot of energy saying yes to other people and answering to other people, but what do you do for yourself? What time do you have blocked out for yourself that enables you really to actually have time to process, actually have time to think, and actually enjoy? And sometimes the problem is you've blocked out that time, but then you do music or you watch a film or you watch Netflix, but you aren't processing in those times. You're not actually engaging your brain in some of the things it needs to process and think about. And that's what I do in the car. That's what I do here in the car, and I love it. So let's go train. I have actually decided to turn around and go and get my headphones because quite frankly, it's a big leg session I've got today, and that is my time to listen to music. So let's put the foot down. Let's go get my headphones and let's go get a gnarly leg pump. See you on the other side. Fuck. That was possibly the best leg session I've had all year. The best engagement, best blood flow, everything. Now let's go grab a shower, get some food, into work block. I've actually got 3 calls this afternoon, which I obviously can't take you on with me. And these are 3 long-term clients, so I'm sure they won't mind. Right. Brum brum. Let's rock and roll. So we've just finished our afternoon work block for the day and it's time for the evening. So typically what happens in the evenings is I'll cook the dinner. Katie does a lot of other house jobs. So we'll tend to do stuff together at this point. So we usually go for a walk, sit down for dinner for a couple of hours, and that's kind of when we spend our time together. Katie's a very private person, so she won't be featuring in this video. We will be sitting down shortly to have our dinner together and we'll sit and chat, maybe watch some television. Katie goes to bed a lot earlier than I do, so what will happen is Katie usually goes to bed around 9:30. I usually stay up then for another 2 hours, and I'd love to tell you that it was a glamorous life, and I spent those 2 hours watching television and doing stuff, and to be honest, there was a part of me that was like, don't show everyone how much you do, how much work you do, because it makes you seem like you've got no life. But in the way of a true day in the life at the moment, things are busy, which is great, and I'm very grateful for that, which means I work long hours. So I'll do another couple of hours once Katie goes to bed. Now it's time to cook some dinner, so let's get on with that and let's see what we can make. So I'm going to head back to my office now and get on with some more work. This tends to be my project time. So anything between like 8 and 10 p.m. are the things I want to do. They're the things that I enjoy. They're the things that if I can really get those things going, I know it's going to have a big impact on my clients or my business further down the line. These aren't things that are urgent. I don't leave urgent things till the night, because although that pressure really gets my dopamine and my brain firing, it's not something I'm trying my best at the moment to not cause myself more stress to do things. I'm trying to do things because I enjoy doing them, which is a really difficult transition, especially as somebody who's lived a life where needing to create stress for deadlines has been so important. So it's nice to have this couple of hours of an evening where I can settle into stuff and enjoy the work that I'm doing. So folks, thank you so much for joining me. Please make sure you hit subscribe. There's going to be tons more amazing content coming your way, and we're even going to do one on sleep hygiene. And if there's anything that you would like to see or anything that you specifically love seeing, please drop a comment. I'll reply to each and every one, and it's always good to be able to create content for those of you who really enjoy the stuff that we produce. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. All the best, much love, take care, bye-bye.